welcome to the next edition of the Gentleman of Style Show. I'm Baldwin.
And I'm Creech. And today is my great esteem. I'm excited. I'm excited, Ron.
Hey, I see. I just written all over your face.
Yeah, anytime I get the chance to interview one of my high school alum brothers,
Okay.
you know what I mean? It's always exciting for me. Ain't nothing like the Enloe. Enloe was probably the best high school in the world.
You gonna talk a little bit about it?
Oh, okay, my bad. I got off subject a little bit. Oh, I got off subject. Well, our next guest, he's a head basketball coach. His accolades are such as he's won the MEAC regular season a few times. He's won the MEAC tournament several times. He's consistently in the NCAA tournament year after year. So I'm not going to give you too much, because if I say too much, then what's the need for an interview? So without further ado, our next guest on the Gentleman Style Show is Mr. Levelle Moton.
Hey, you know that. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing it.
Exactly. You know, the basketball season getting ready to get cranked up.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's a lot of things you got to do to get prepared. So where are you at this point? When you're getting prepared at this part of the season, where you at?
We just finished on Monday, concluded our preseason with what we call Eagle Storm. And that's a mentally challenging day for those kids. It's like
it's Eagle Storm?
Yeah, we call it Eagle Storm.
What is Eagle Storm?
Well, Eagle is just a namesake of, obviously our mascot,
Right.
the Eagles. But the Storm is pretty much what you're going through.
So it's
and you got to
intense.
go through to get through. It's intense.
Oh, yeah.
It's a series of different sprints and conditioning and gases that we call, and it's timed.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to make them in that run. If not, I walk out the gym and we try to get tomorrow, but we don't touch a practice jersey. We don't touch a game jersey. You don't get issued anything until you complete that run.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? So now I want our guys to have a sense of appreciation when they get something. This generation is a little different. They come from more pleasant and fortunate circumstances than we came. So, and that's great. We're supposed to provide that for them, but at the same time, we're supposed to create a platform where they can have a sense of appreciation instead of a sense of entitlement. You know what I'm saying? So you have to earn it, and that's our motto this year: earn, not given.
Right.
So you have to earn everything with NCCU paraphernalia on it.
Oh, man, that's a great outlook, and I totally agree. This new generation, and I don't think it's a stigma on the parents.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give your kids something better than you had. So I agree, but sometimes I think that they think it's all Insta, like Instagram, Insta. And
Right.
It's got to be right now.
And to be honest with you, that's probably the more professional thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the upfront gratification. Let's say, for example, I'm gonna give you $50 if you go ahead and perform good.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the right way to go about doing that. That incentive before.
Right.
Yeah. So that's perfect.
And our thing is, I told someone this the other day, we as leaders, coaches, parents, teachers, etc., like, kids haven't changed. Kids, we were the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like, we always pushed and rebelled and went as far as we could possibly go. But the difference is we had leaders that was in place that didn't compromise.
Right.
It was non-negotiable.
Right.
You couldn't negotiate with your mom. When she said you on punishment for a week,
That's it.
you ask her again, it might be 2 weeks. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So there was no negotiation back then. I told someone the other day, I said, man, we try to give these kids so much of what we didn't have that we forget to give them what we did have.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the beauty of it. So we got to go back and give them what we did have, with those morals and values, and hopefully they can, be productive citizens out here in this world.
Okay, we know that you're grinding, this Eagle Storm going on and all of that, and you're out there on the field. What's happening behind the scenes on the administrative side of it?
While we're recruiting, that never stops. That's a never-ending process. Because this is the 18-19 season, so we're recruiting for the 19 class. I think we lose 3 seniors this year, so we have to replace those guys. So that's a never-ending process. But you also have to make sure, I'm not necessarily concerned with their 2 hours on the basketball floor.
Yeah.
I'm concerned with their 22 off of it.
Right.
So academically, we push them and we push them and we push them, and we don't allow them to just accept mediocrity, meaning the 2.0s, the 2.3s, or like the 2 point anythings. I think one of the biggest tricks the devil ever pulled, especially with black families, is graduation day. And if you come to graduations across the country, a lot of times you'll see grandmama and them in the stands cheering their baby on. And when you walk across that stage, you feel like you've accomplished something because you received your degree, and you have. But at the end of the day, a 2.3 is really the best of the worst. So that don't compare when you go out there in the real world and they stack resumes against one another. They're going to take someone from UCLA who had a 3.8 before they take someone who had a 2.3. And that's what I tell our guys, like, let's not settle for the 2.3, because that lasts from the moment you get the paper and get off stage.
Right.
But you got to have it up here.
Right.
You know, man, you're raising young black men. You're trying to add on to that. And that's the reality. So therefore, for me, it's bigger than basketball.
Is there any downtime? Because right now it's the grind. It's the grind.
It's the grind.
Everything's going.
And it always seems that way. You know, I don't really think it is any grind time.
I mean, downtime.
Man,
No downtime.
no. You always have to. You know, with my family and my wife and my kids, I got an incredible wife who understands what I do. She don't try to change it. And she holds the fort down with my other two kids. And we're on the road so much that, you know, I learned there's really no balance. Balance is not 50-50. Balance is, you know, quality over quantity. You know, that's what balance is for me. So it certainly helps when you have a wife who understands that, you know, and with open arms.
When you look at, you know, when you're putting those guys out there on the floor, and as you said, you know, it's really what they're doing off the floor. But when you put those guys out there on the floor, what is your sentiment to them? What do you really like when you put them out there on the floor? You say, okay, we got the game plan, go out here and play. What is one thing that you kind of always tell them before they hit the floor that you want to resonate with them while they're there?
It's a couple of things. I tell them compete, number one. If you compete, you give yourself a chance. You know, the thing about basketball, it filters out each level that you go to. And a lot of times when you're young, if you're just the best athlete or the biggest kid or the tallest kid, you can be successful. But on a collegiate level, if I covered everyone's credentials, if I covered the name, everyone's credentials would look the same. You know what I'm saying? High school, all conference, this, that, all state, blah, blah, blah. So now you got to say what separates me from the next man. And a lot of times it's going to be the thing that you can't measure, and that's your heart. And that's being able to go out here and compete. And I tell them every day, so many people have sacrificed in your family for you to be in this situation. And regardless of your complaints or, you know, your whining, there are people that's praying to be in your situation. Take advantage of it. Get a reward from it. Let's not take this thing for granted. And we go out there and try to compete, man. And once you compete, good things happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just happens that way. And that's the essence of manhood, competition. And I take it and further it into a life lesson. Look, man, like when you go out on this floor, you got to compete. When you leave North Carolina Central and you go in the real world, you got to compete. When you go apply for a job, you got to compete. This woman that you like, you got to compete.
You got to compete.
If she worked in it, man, you got to compete. You follow what I'm saying? So competition is the essence of manhood, man. And I tell them that all the time. Like, again, it's that generation where they were given trophies just for participation. Right. You know, I'm just like, no, I'm going to do the participation. This world only cares about winners. That's why our president is who he is, because they thought he was a winner based on his financial status. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care nothing. Man, they don't care nothing about his previous history and the disrespect of women, the racism, the bigot. They don't care nothing about that. Right. You know, if we think he's a winner, we're going to vote for him. Right. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? And that's the ultimate reality of America. And don't let anyone fool you. This world don't care nothing about losers. I was in the projects for 22 years. No one came to do an interview. No one came to ask my opinion. No one came to help. No one came to do anything. So, because they perceived us as losers or outcasts or have-nots or the least respected. They didn't care. So now I'm trying to tell these young men, go out here and compete and consider yourself a winner, man, in the eyes of society.
I think that's one of the reasons why we got together to do this show was, we come from similar backgrounds. I was in the projects, Raleigh North.
Okay, there it is.
Back in the day, and then, but it went from, I was in the country, it went from the country to the projects to, being in school and understanding that there was something else out there.
Right.
I didn't know what it was.
Right.
Because being in the projects, you don't get a chance to move and do a lot of different things like some other people do. You don't necessarily get those vacations to Europe and Spain and all that.
Yeah.
You get you're lucky if you go to White
Grandmama house.
Yeah,
That's where you go for this vacation.
Yeah.
Grandmama house.
So when we decided to do this show, we wanted to showcase people who really have something to say, who have great stories, and can basically put things out there for people to gravitate to and say, hey, I never thought about that, or I'm looking to do something, but I don't know how to do it. You can see somebody on our platform and say, I seen Levelle and he told me about this, or he was giving me something that I need to start teaching my kids.
No, I agree with you on that. And that, just to piggyback on what he just said, to see someone that looks like you is important.
Absolutely.
Be honest with you. I'm just going to be blunt about it. It's very important. See someone that looks like you, that you can relate to the backgrounds. You come from the same place, from a rural upbringing. I grew up in the country as well, and it gives them that idea of, hey, I can do something too. We felt like it was very important, to share these type of experiences, which again is one of the basis of what we're doing here today, and all of the shows that we're doing.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Roy Williams, Coach K, Mike Tomlin, three of the biggest in the field, two in basketball, one in the NFL. Each one of them has impeccable things to say about you. Hearing those quotes, from you being brilliant to dynamic to setting yourself apart in the field, what was it like to hear those quotes the first time out when somebody told you or they spoken to you? What was it like for you?
I was humble. It's something I don't take for granted. With Roy and Coach K, I have two Hall of Famers that will go down as coaching legends, and regardless of sport, 8 to 10 miles away from me. They're 8 and 10 miles away from each other. Coach K is 5 minutes and Roy's 10, 15 minutes down the street. I would be foolish. It's almost like a new business. I got a new business, a startup business, and 5 miles away from me, I got Warren Buffett, and 10 miles away, I got Bill Gates, and I never reach out and cultivate that relationship. I'm the fool, because I have to go soak up that knowledge. And in basketball, your idols become your rivals.
Oh, yeah.
But your contemporaries are always watching. And the things that you achieve, they respect it. And for them to invite me in and, become what I consider a mentor, it was amazing for me. And then with Mike Tomlin, he's more like a big brother. Now I go to camp every year, and now he want our families to go on vacations together. We just talk all the time. And we're from the same type of humble backgrounds as well. He has so much knowledge that I can learn from. Because what happens is when you get in a coaching situation, you're so busy giving away knowledge each day that your cup is empty and you need someone to pour into you. So you have to go out there and foster those relationships so someone can pour into you and you can continue to learn, because you can't become stale. You can't become stagnant. You have to continue to learn. So I'm amazed, man, but by those guys, and just being able to have a relationship with them and know that I was me. Know that they accepted me for me. They accepted Levelle, and I think my mom would be proud of that. I ain't tap dance around them and not because that wouldn't be me. I couldn't go home and look myself in the mirror. They know me for me. So the way I'm talking to y'all, that's how I talk to them. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what makes it more gratifying for me, that they accepted me for me, and I was able to be me. And you ain't got to change. Just be yourself, and our differences is what make us dope out here.
Oh yeah.
As we go through life and we collect certain experiences and we collect the knowledge from other people, Is there one thing that you've heard in your communications with the other coaches that kind of stood out to you? Was there like one piece of knowledge that really resonated with you to a high degree?
So many nuggets, man. Mike Tomlin once told me, it's not what your team is capable of, it's what they're willing to do.
Mm.
And that's the most powerful thing, because we've recruited them. They're here. They're in that locker room. So they're capable of doing something that we recruited.
Right.
Now, what are they willing to do? And that separates the boys from the men. My job as a coach, and I call it squeezing the juice out the orange, is to get the most I possibly can out of these young men, to take them to levels that they never thought their mind could go. And that's the purpose of Eagle Storm. I told them on Monday, the purpose of that run is not to see if you're in shape. You're young, you're in shape, okay, whatever. It's not about that. The purpose of that run is to mentally prepare you for what you can do. Because you didn't think, when I said it, look, this is the barometer for it. You have to make this time 30 times in 22 seconds. You look at me like you were crazy. Why? Because you've never done it before. Right. But now, while you're running, it's a voice that pops in your head. And that voice says, man, my chest hurting. I'm thirsty. My hamstring about to tear. I'm about to fall out. That voice is just playing tricks on you. And when you learn to defeat that voice, you can do anything in life. But most people, that's the problem with people working out. They get on that treadmill, and that treadmill be like, look, we ain't gonna make it today. And they buy into the voice. I've done it plenty of times, you know what I'm saying? And they can't defeat that voice in their head, and so they always dead. Mm-hmm. And once you learn to defeat that voice in your head, you can go to new horizons, and that's what I'm trying to teach these kids. Who you are and what you are when you got here cannot be who you are and what you are when you leave. Right. You follow what I'm saying? So that's basically what we tell them.
Can't be here without talking about Levelle Cares.
Yes, yes.
How did you come up with it? What was the basis of it?
Man, it was actually an idea that was born, in the projects years ago. You know how it is, man. The thing about the projects, you don't have a lot, so you have a lot of dreams. You go into your room and you look out the window and you come up, you envision so many different circumstances by saying, when I get some money, I'm going to do this. When I get an opportunity, I'm going to do this. We even went outside and we used to watch the cars go by and say, that's my car. That was a game.
That was a game.
Right? That's vision. So this was born then, and it was born from me seeing my mom struggle. And I said, man, when I ever get into a situation where I can give back to others, I'm going to help single moms. I'm going to help poor families and disenfranchised families. I'm going to try to help all those people. So that was the inception of my Levelle Cares Foundation. And I said, I just want to do any and everything I can possibly do to help people. Because I ain't the smartest guy in the world, but I do know my blessings come from blessing others. And that's what God blesses you for. That's my belief. He don't bless you to say, all right, now go over there and keep it all to yourself. Like, that's whack. That's corny to me. So he blesses me to share it, and now it multiplies. And it comes back in peculiar ways, but I just look up and say, God, I know that was you. You know what I'm saying? And it comes from me blessing other people. So it's a foundation that I love, man. We got a single mother salute event coming up where we're going to honor 150 moms, and this is our 5th annual, so we do it every year. Last year, David Banner spoke. This year, Terry J. Vaughn from the Steve Harvey Show and Meet the Browns, she'll be the speaker. I named all the awards after my mom, so she'll be in attendance. And it's a night for single moms to be selfish because they deserve that. All their life they thought about someone else or put someone else before they put themselves, and they missed out for 10, 15 years passed by. They didn't get a chance to party. They didn't get a chance to go on vacation. They didn't get a chance to enjoy life. And so we try to give them back that day. So they have pictures. We have a dinner. Last year we gave away over $30,000 worth of prizes. We play fun. We play games. We have a lot of fun. We give them vacations. We give them spas, mani-pedis, hair salons, groceries, gift cards, cash, tickets to the Charlotte Hornets basketball game, tickets to North Carolina Central basketball game. Just an opportunity to go win things and smile. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of single moms don't smile, right? In a 24-hour day, they don't smile. And I wanted mothers to have a smile because I knew what it was like, and you probably know what it was like growing up, where you were seeing your mom come into that door and she not able to smile because her job done. She's been hardened by life circumstances. You know, her job done wore down, and then now she got to come home and deal with us. We done got us some mess. You know what I'm saying? Now she tired. Now she got to cook, and now we got to make sure we take baths, and she exhausted. Now she got to go to bed, wake up, and do it all over again. Come on, man. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it was. I was like, I just want to see women smile. Women smile. That's it. Because, and then we have put them through so much.
It's always boys.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then men have put them through so much. You know what I'm saying? So they fighting so many challenges. I was like, nah, they need to smile.
But the other part about, you know, when you go out and you're doing that, because I know you do the basketball camps yearly too. How many of the young guys or the young minds that you come across after they've gone to school and, you know, some of them will go on pro or some of them will go on to get a job, how many reach back to you and say, Coach, you were right?
That's the biggest gratification. That's the difference between playing and coaching. People ask me, what's the difference? I say, like, when you play, it's instant gratification. You score, everybody clap. But teaching and coaching is like a thankless job. And you don't do it for the pat on the back or the gratitude. You do it because you're investing in that kid and you know that's what's best for him or her. Right. And then if they come back and say, yo, I appreciate it, thank you, you were right, okay, that's cool. But I knew I was right anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because I already lived that life where you're trying to go. And it's a beautiful thing when they come back and when they get it, man. And I've been blessed to coach some great ones. You know, from the John Walls and, you know, the Dez Wells and the PJ Tuckers and, you know, the Riley. But like I've been fortunate to interact with a lot of them and even trained some pros on that level. And I still have NBA guys call me to this day and ask me my advice because they know I don't want to be a part of their clique. I don't want to go to the club and pop no bottles with you. I'm just going to look in your face and tell you what's real. I don't want nothing from you. And they appreciate and they respect that at the end of the day, man. And I get it so much because I don't broadcast it, and I keep everything that they tell me in confidence. And they respect that at the end of the day. And then they know I know what I'm talking about because I've been down that road. And I know what's coming ahead of you. And I've just been down there prior to you, so now I can go back and send the elevator back down and tell you, look, when you go here, when you go there, it's going to be a snake over here, a dog over here, a rat over here. You know what I'm saying? And that makes it easier for you to move through that haunted house. Because it's a haunted house. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what they show you on TV, it's a haunted house. You know, so we all done took a walk through the haunted house, but once somebody told you, look, when you take 5 steps, a scarecrow gonna jump out at you. You ain't scared no more, or you prepared for it. And that's my job, is to readily prepare those kids.
I think one thing that I do look at when I see, you know, I see you around social media and see you at different events, the respect level that people have for you, I think it transcends basketball altogether. I think it's a true respect for Levelle the man. You know, like I said, you know, we went to the same high school, so the functions that we go to, when people talk about you, it's all about the respect for Levelle, not Levelle and money, not Levelle and basketball. It's the man himself.
Right.
And how important was that to you, moving away from being in basketball, but moving away from basketball as the person?
That's all I wanted, because basketball is what I do. It's not who I am. And my grandmother told me, man, when I was 12 years old, I told her I was gonna buy a house and a car. I don't know why I told her a car, because she ain't had no license. But I was like, when I go to the NBA, I'm going to buy your house and a car one day. And she looked me dead in my face and she said, something I'll never forget. She said, the 2 most important days of your life is the day that you were born and the day you figure out why. You're not on this earth to shoot a basketball. So she said, if you leave this earth and people remember you as a basketball player, you've done a poor job of living. That was heavy, bro. It's still heavy.
Yeah, that is heavy.
That's substantial.
That's
substantial.
And I'm at 12. I'm like, okay.
Usually when people make that quote, they say that the day you were born and the day you died are two sure things in
Right.
life, but I never heard it quite put that way before.
Her thing,
I like that,
and she ended up, I'll tell you when she said it. It was April 1st, 1984. I had to, my mama told me I had to run to her house and tell her Marvin Gaye died. And when I went in there, she only, she lived on Lane Street, so she was in the projects too, it's like around the corner. She only had 3 channels, ABC, CBS, NBC. And I told her, Grandma, I said, Grandma, Mom told me to tell you, Marvin Gaye died. And she was cooking, and it just, you could see it just took the life out of her. She's like, what? And she came and turned the TV on, and I think it was Dan Rather or somebody like that, talking about Marvin Gaye. And they had a moment of silence, and it was going to break. And they had his face, and they had Marvin, I'll never forget it, man, Marvin Gaye, April 2nd, 1939 through April 1st, 1984. And I'm laying on her, and she said, I want to show you something. She said, his birth date, that don't matter. His death date, that don't matter. The only thing that matters is that little dash. Because that's his profound impact. That represents his legacy and how people will forever remember him. So she said, regardless, you don't know when you're going. Nobody knows when they're going. But you just make sure when you go, they can talk about that dash forever and not just at a funeral. That was huge to me, man. I'm 12 getting all this information, you know what I'm saying? I'm just soaking up knowledge.
Right.
It was free game, man. And I didn't completely understand it until I was grown.
I got the same thing from my grandmother. She told me so many different nuggets and pieces of way to navigate the world.
Yeah.
And I wasn't understanding what she was saying. But as I got older and I got to a certain level of, wanting to be taught and wanting to understand things, I think back to things she said and I'm like, okay.
You get it.
That makes sense. It's like that real true light bulb, and it allows you to start moving in that way. Then really start to tell people some of the things that you've learned and, giving that information back. So that, I can
That's real.
totally relate to
That's
that.
real.
Totally. In the whole coaching process, I was talking to LeRon about this earlier. I'm a young man, and I'm not athletic. I'm not into sports like that.
No, you can't play in the NBA.
No.
He can't train.
I can't. He told me anything that I wanted to do. No, like so. I'm not very athletic. I know the game of basketball. I want to become a coach. Where should I start? If I'm a freshman. Let's say I'm a freshman in college. So I didn't play high school basketball or anything like that. Might have been around the team a little bit, but I love the game of basketball. I want to become a coach. Where would I start at?
It's a great question, because the thing about our generation now, there's no cookie cutter approach to achieving your dreams. Like back in the day, if we wanted to be a rapper or we wanted to be a singer, we had to go cut a demo and get it in the hands of Puffy or Andre Laurel or Jermaine or whatever.
Right.
And that was the process. But now, if I can sing, I can just record it and post it on YouTube and just hope. So it's kind of like the same thing with basketball. Depending on which coach you ask, they'll give you a different story. Which assistant coach you ask, they'll give you a different story. I'm probably not the one to answer that question, because I know God chose me to be a basketball coach. I didn't choose it. I had no desire to be a basketball coach. So I'm wrong in telling anybody, like, boy, you need to, because I had no desire. And again, now that I'm older, I know it was my grandmother's prayers. That's all I can attribute it to, because I got through that haunted house without getting jacked up. When I finished playing overseas, my 7th grade teacher, Celia Selden, was the assistant principal at West Millbrook Middle. She said, there's a job available. At the same time, my former college coach asked me to come be a college coach at Delaware State, assistant coach, for $85,000. He was going to pay me $85,000. My assistant principal said she has a job at West Millbrook for $225 a month for 3 months. I told my mom, I got a decision to make. She's like, what decision you got to make? You know what I'm saying? And she used some more expletives, but that I can't even repeat. Like, you crazy? That hood one. And I went home and I prayed about it. And something just kept telling me, like, yo, take the West Middlebrook gig, take the West Middlebrook gig. And I called my principals. I said, I'm going to take the West Middlebrook job. She said, you do understand it's $225 for 3 months. And I was like, yeah, I understood that. But what that moment taught me was always trust your gut. Because, or your intuition, or whatever people want to call it. To me, that's my intuition is listening to God's whispers. You know what I'm saying? That's what I perceive it as. And then the other thing it taught me was, anytime you're going to make a major decision in life, if the first question you ask is what will other people think, then you're not living your life. You're performing for acceptance. And I didn't want to be performing for acceptance, making $85,000, but I'm really unhappy.
Right.
And I went to middle school and I did that for 3 years. And now, the next job, now I want to go to the high school level. I send 3 resumes to Leesville, Millbrook, and Wakefield. All rejection letters, thank you, but no thank you. We found someone that's better qualified. The lady that gave me a chance is my 10th grade French teacher, Kathy Moore, and I had a 59 in her class. You know what I'm saying? So thinking, this ain't me. I can't. This is God saying, look, this boy right here, y'all please get this boy. You know what I'm saying? Like, she gave me a chance amongst everyone, man. There was 150 people applying for the position. All I had was some middle school experience. And a 59 when she taught me, she said, I believed in you. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I go up there, and we had some success for 3 years. Now North Carolina Central called me back 3 times to come be the assistant coach at the time. And I say, nah, because I knew on this level, there was a certain purity and innocence at the middle school and high school level that just doesn't exist here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's business here. It's straight business.
You still feel it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And I tell them that. That's the first thing I tell them. Mm-hmm. We got a business relationship. Now, hopefully feelings can grow out that business, but anytime money's involved, it's a business relationship. Right. In this particular case, scholarship. You know, I'm paying you to do a job. Right. That's what it is. You better perform, or I got to get somebody to replace you. Because if I don't perform, they're going to get someone to replace me. So let's not even pretend it's anything else. And they respect and love me for that. You know what I'm saying? So I come up here, and in 2 years, I'm the assistant coach. Then they fire the coach. I want to go back to high school. My fiance at the time, when I'm a wife, says, won't you apply? I said, man, I ain't got no D1 experience. I go in the committee. They ask me all of these questions, but none of them pertain to basketball. Not one basketball question. Really? Not a single one. You know what I'm saying? And they asking me more like management, being like a CEO. How will I resolve this situation? What's my core values? Right? So it was business to them. Right. And then I thought I did pretty well. Now the chancellor calls me in his office. He said, look, I don't care nothing about that basketball stuff.
They want to know it all about.
He said, I want to know, are you tough enough to handle this job? Uh-huh. And I was like, my man. Yeah. I said, if I ain't nothing else, I got that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I done been through it. Every day I walked out my house, I had to make a life or death decision to get back in. Right. So let's not worry about that. Right. He called me in the next day and said, you're my basketball coach. And there it is. So that story is no cookie cutter. Absolutely. To tell a kid that's 20, hey, this is what you got to do. Right. Because it may not happen for him. So I just know I had my grandmother's prayers and I had God's favor over me. And because when she used to make me pray with her when I was young, and she used to ask God to bless her kids' kids. And I was just repeating it. I didn't know I was her kid's kid. I just got 1 hour. You know what I'm saying? Because she was at church every day. Oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know that, right? So that was my grandma. She was like, God, please bless my kids' kids. And that's what it was. So I was just repeating that. And now I see I'm here because my grandmother covered me with her prayers and asked God to bless and protect her kids. And that's why I'm here. So that's why when I get to the stage, I can't act brand new or be old Hollywood and come in here with shades. Like, you know how it goes. Like, I can't do all that. You know what I'm saying? It has to be, you're here now, share your platform, bless others, give back to your community, and inspire someone and lift someone else up so they can be the next coming.
Exactly.
That's the funny part about it. Speaking of Mike Tomlin, I don't know what it is, but I've never met him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big Steelers fan.
That's what's up.
Yeah. And so every time when he first took over as head coach, I remember saying, "Who is this dude?" Like,
Me too.
I never heard of him. Didn't know much about him. Did a little research on him. Like, now why in the world did we hire this dude? Fast forward a month and a half to, he did a press conference. And after he did that press conference, I said, yeah, that's our head coach. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if truthfully, I didn't know if he knew the X's and the O's.
Right.
I knew that the team would play for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought. I thought that they would play for him and the rest of it he'll figure out. But that's some good information for people to know when you go into certain interviews. A lot of times, especially on the sports level, they want to know that other stuff. I'm pretty sure they figure you can coach,
mm-hmm.
but they want to know what type of person you are, how you going to get these people to follow you, and are you going to be okay when folks start talking about you and telling you it's time for you to go?
Yeah. When you lose 2 in a row, how do you handle that? And you're trending on social media because you lost to your rival or whatever. Like, how do you handle that? Are you tough enough to handle that? And it's amazing. It's ironic that you say that, man, because I just really think that God takes us through a process to prepare us for what we ultimately are praying for. You know what I'm saying? And I realize now, because I used to question, God, why am I in these circumstances? Like, why am I struggling to eat? Why when I go to bed at night, why is there a rat and a roach and the plumbing don't work and the bathroom door don't work, and if somebody upstairs in our projects washed 2 loads of clothes, the ceiling fall, like, why am I going through this? And now I see, like, it was to get you tough for what I had you prepared for. So you can say you've been there and you've done that, and now that's just sweat off your back. Because where I'm trying to take you, it's going to be 10 times worse. It's going to be 2,000 kids in a student body calling you out your name. And now, if you ain't go through this, you'll turn around and you'll be ready to go hit one of them. Now you'll be in prison. You know what I'm saying? Because you had the project mentality. So I get it now, man. And I've seen it all. I've seen people who struggle. And now I can bless those and establish a foundation and give life lessons to these kids right here. Because we don't talk about basketball a lot. I tell them, that's your genius. Like, I'm concerned about the principles of manhood that I'm supposed to give you, because I'm coaching fatherless kids for the most part. And they haven't had a man in their life tell them nothing. And now it's so different with them, because the moment they've had a man talk to them or give them some criticism or discipline, they ran, they went the other way. They transferred schools. A lot of these kids, and this is not just in our locker room, this the generation, their high school transcript, I got to get 3 or 4 transcripts.
Because they done been there.
They done been there. When they ain't like it, they ran. You know what I'm saying?
I see that a lot.
Yeah, because it's the culture. When you don't like it, it's nobody's fault. It's not your fault. It's everybody else's fault. Go over here.
Or I hear, I'm just trying to find a better school.
There you go. What's better? Like, what's better? No, stay there and work it out. Right. That's what makes you mentally tough. Mm-hmm. I asked my kids one day, I said, how many of y'all even tried out for your high school team? I think it was 2 kids. 2 kids out of 16 tried out for their high school team. Mm-hmm. I was the best player in my school, and I was scared to death during trials. Because Coach Williams would have cut you. Mm. You know what I'm saying? So I beat him the following morning when he posted that sheet on the door to say the final. Boy, I was a nervous wreck every year.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
Is favoritism real on that high school type of level? Because one of my friends, he says, well, my son, he's not giving my son enough playing time out there.
Look, man, no coach in America is playing the worst 5 kids he can play.
He's gonna play the best one.
Come on, man. That's
He's
our
got
job.
to
So
be
yeah, come on now. Like that's just what it is, right? So you ain't
Right.
playing it's not favoritism. It's just you have these helicopter parents that's actively involved, and they continue to be actively involved. And now you have coaches that's scared to challenge the kids because they're scared the kid may leave. So they placate towards that kid's feelings, which in the long run is doing that kid an injustice because when he go filter out and meet his match, he don't know how to respond. He don't have no dog in him because he ain't never had to have the dog.
Right.
And I tell the mothers on this level, I had to tell them one time, and I tell our team, listen, tell your mamas, tell your daddies, don't call me, don't call my phone. They won't call my phone, we can talk about academics, we can talk about the social life, we can talk about your welfare. But do not call me trying to talk about basketball because they ain't qualified to talk to me about that. And you have to be that way because if you open up that can of worms, you open up Pandora's box, now you got 16 assistant coaches. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going through that. And I had to tell one mom, you need to let go. You need to let go because right now, and she was an attractive woman, maybe in her mid-40s. And I said, can I ask you something? It finally got to the point, I said, can I ask you something? I said, are you married? No. You have a boyfriend? No, like I'm dealing with some people. You're a very attractive woman. Why don't you have a boyfriend or why are you not married? Man, these men ain't no good out here. They ain't got no responsibility. Like they ain't make them like they used to. You're raising a kid that's just like the guy that you described. You're raising a young man that you wouldn't date yourself. I want you to think about that.
That's big.
So who else would want him? She held the phone for 5 seconds, said, that's all you ever had to say to me, he yours. And I didn't want to go there, but it was my ace of spade. I like, this the last one I can play. This is all I got. If this don't win the book, I'm out. And I had to play that card. And she appreciated to this day. I said, because when he leave here, he gonna be 28 in your home, laying on the couch, ordering all the Netflix.
I mean, that's perfect though, because I mean, all these guys and these family, like these parents out here, they live in a fantasy world. I mean, they're thinking, oh, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, and everything, because you know, they, like you said, they put themselves in a place to whereas, okay, my child can't do any wrong.
Can't do any wrong.
You know, they're the greatest thing ever. And like you said, till they meet the. What was that terminology?
Till it fills out. Till it fills out. Like somebody out there bigger, better, and better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you're gonna have to separate yourself from that person. A lot of times that comes from intestinal fortitude.
Right.
And intestinal fortitude comes from you having to fight for everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I want the best athlete. I had to work, but I had to fight for everything. I was the baby in my home, you know what I'm saying? I was the baby of the family, so I had a bunch of cousins, but I was the baby of that. You know how they mistreat you. You know how your brother mistreat you. Then I go out, I'm in the project, so you got to fight out there. I had to fight all the time, you know what I'm saying? To the point that it just became part of my natural habitat.
Right.
And I try to create those scenarios for my kids myself. They're growing up privileged. They're growing up way differently than their father, but I'm still giving them scenarios where they got to get themselves out of that because mommy and daddy not going to be around. For instance, my daughter came home, jumped into bed with me last night because my wife was helping her with the whole homework, and my daughter came in crying. And I was like, what you crying for? She was like, mommy, I don't know if mommy believe in me no more. She's 9. I said, who cares if mommy believe in you? Life ain't about mommy or daddy believing in you. Stop this Leave It to Beaver stuff you done got off YouTube. It's about you believing in you. You know what I'm saying? Your success will come based off the genius thing I did, and I tell everybody. I loved me when nobody else did.
Right. You know, Ricky Smiley was on.
That's what you gotta do. You better love yourself when nobody else does.
Ricky Smiley said the same thing the other day. He said, he was talking about how parents, how did he put that? He said how the parents don't owe the kids anything.
Right.
Yeah, to the same degree of what you said. They have to get it into themselves and start knowing, hey, this is what I need to do to survive.
Absolutely, man. And it's tough. It's hard as a parent. I'm not saying I got all the answers figured out, but My little boy, like he know, like if he fall, I'm not running over there. He 5. I'm not running over there to pick you up.
Right.
And before he go jump in his mama lap, he'll look at me like, is this okay?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not raising.
Right. Oh, I get the same thing.
That dude.
I get the same thing.
We can't raise that dude as fathers. We can't. Man, they killing us and getting away with it.
Yeah.
Life is like, man, come on, man. Nobody gonna pick you up out here in this world. They don't care nothing about you, bro.
Right. So
nothing.
Yourself up.
They showing you that every single day when another black man is gunned down and killed, or this lady is killed, and the cops are getting paid administrative leave, and it's still just like the 40s and the 50s.
Exactly.
So now that I know that's the environment, let me prepare you for that haunted house that we was talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it hurts me to see you struggle. It hurts me to see your scab when you fell down, but I'd rather see that scab than a bullet in your back.
Yeah, because it's unfortunate. We have to prepare our kids, not just our young men anymore. We have to prepare our young women to walk out the door and come back alive.
There you go.
It's a hard sell to understand it. You know, even when we were growing up, you know, you go out, you take a beat down, you know, you get in a fight or two, scrape or two, but most of the time, for the most part, you come home.
Mm-hmm.
Now life has changed to the point where that was just in the hood. Now, you come across the wrong, you know, law enforcement officer, that's worse than being in the hood.
Okay.
At least in the hood, you got a fighting chance to a certain degree. With law enforcement, you don't necessarily have a fighting chance.
You know what was like one of the most humbling experiences I've ever had? I had to go into that locker room and become their driver's ed teacher. I had to teach them, not only be careful when you're driving, I had to teach them, don't drink and drive, but I had to teach them how to make it back home. And that was the realest thing. I was like, look, man, keep 2 hands on the wheel. Say yes, sir, at all times. Before you reach into the glove compartment, ask them, officer such and such, I'm going to reach into the glove compartment. Is that okay? I'm reaching to get you my wallet and my license and my registration. Is that okay? Like, we had to go to a seminar on how to get these kids back home because their parents done entrusted that they're going to be okay here. And so now they my kids, and I'm like, yo, like, what is happening out here in this world?
You know, to be honest with you, and because of social media and media in general and all the access that we have, and we're seeing all of this stuff that's happening out there in the world, it's right here at our fingertips, you know, especially using this device here, you become numb to a degree. And to your point, when you said you had to go back there, you had to actually train them, you became the driver's ed teacher, among other things in that moment. I truly believe that even though all these things are happening, I don't think it's totally getting across to these kids out here. I know parents are concerned about their kids, but I'm unsure how often they talk to these kids, you know, about the things that you just outlined there. I think that it's probably getting missed to a degree, and it may be a gap there, because there's still a lot out there. I see a lot of the behaviors and what people are doing out there, and if it was translating from parents to the kids in that manner, I would expect to see a higher degree of the instances that happen to go down. But I don't think I see it. I don't have any statistics around that. This is just general, just looking at what happens, because we do have access to start seeing things.
Well, I think part of that, the dilution comes in. We've got to the point where we've lumped so many things together rather than understanding that certain things are isolated incidents. Where you have the Trayvon Martins and all these type of events that sit here. A chick at Walmart losing her mind, and then the cops come, and the first thing she wants to say is, you know, this is on video, but you in the wrong. So we start to look at all of these people taking these videos and then giving us pieces of video. So we don't know what the total video, till the total video comes out and you see the reason why she's on there talking about some, y'all need to watch this, but you just went in there and you stole, you know, $300 worth of stuff. They're trying to get you in custody, take you downtown, but you fight back with the cops. That's not the same as a Trayvon Martin.
Right,
or,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
These things, but they keep
It's
trying
fine.
to put all these things in the same basket,
Yeah.
and people are saying, everybody's too sensitive. No, everything's not the same.
Right. And you gotta have, we gotta have the respect for the authority and the elders, regardless of how they act. Treat people as good as you are, not as bad as they are. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta have that, man. So it's not lumped in together because these kids have to make it back home. I would never be able to handle the knock at the door of someone telling me your child is not coming home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I know I can do more, even though I do in my mind what I thought I can. I have to do more to make sure those kids are out here getting home, and those kids are out here making a name for themselves in this world and representing their families and establishing a legacy and establishing a dash. Because right now they don't have no dash. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes the entire thing complicated.
You got anything else, Mr. Downs?
Okay, yeah. I think we've taken enough of Coach Moton's time. I really appreciate it. But I mean, this was a good conversation.
Yeah.
Got a chance to get to know Coach Moton a little more and go in depth on some brothers sitting around having a conversation type
That's
stuff.
right. That's right.
I love that. So you definitely will see him on our show again.
Absolutely.
But we're going to go ahead and wrap this on up. So go ahead and do what you do.
Hey, it's been great meeting you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for
Likewise.
joining us on the
Likewise.
Gentleman Style Show.
Thank you.
Hey, and like we like to say, there's no excuse for good taste. And at the Gentleman Style Show, we believe in better. So we'll see you next time.
We out.